Okay, I have something that I wanted to share based on the Haftarah portion. So the Haftarah portion is about the children of Israel and their unfaithfulness, and how Hashem compares this unfaithfulness to adultery, okay, to a betrayal of a marriage covenant. And so I've always believed that the sacred covenant between a man and a woman, that one of the primary reasons that it's between one man and one woman and nothing else is largely ceremonial, and it has to do with the fact that it's a picture of the marriage between Israel and Hashem. And he wants the marriage covenant between his people to reflect that. Of course, there's another reason, which is that he said, be fruitful and multiply, and that cannot be biologically done unless it's between a man and a woman. And of course, it was one man and one woman in the beginning, regardless of what happened in the beginning. That was definitely the ideal ever since the beginning. Now we have an injunction as a people, as Jews, not only to be fruitful and multiply. That's for all people. All people from Adam are commanded to be fruitful and multiply. As Jews, number one, we take that to a different level. We don't just say that it has to do with physical offspring, because in Judaism, we say that if you cannot reproduce, it's okay to make disciples, to make talmidim, and they count as your children in a spiritual way. And this is actually the more important thing, is to make children for God, basically followers of God. And so as Jews, we have a special command, which is to command our children. And we say in the Shema every morning, right? We say, and these words, which I command you today, you shall teach them to your children, right? That's in the Shema. We say it every day, twice a day, right? We say the Shema every day, twice a day, right, kids? We say these words, and specifically it's talking about the words of the Shema, but it represents the whole Torah, right? These words, this Torah that Hashem commanded us on that day, on the day at Sinai, which we're going to be celebrating when? In 2 days, 3 days, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, right? In about 3 days, right? We're going to be celebrating Shavuot. And what are we celebrating on Shavuot? The giving of the Torah, right? And it's what we talk about every single day, twice a day, when we say the Shema, okay? And that Shavuot is, again, when in Judaism, Shavuot is the day that God married the people of Israel. It is our corporate wedding day. So this Haftarah portion becomes even more significant because it's always read before Shavuot, okay? Now, we're supposed to command our children to keep the Torah, right? And it says in the Torah, or also in the Brit Hadashah, that the reason why God chose Avraham is why? Because God knew that he would command his children after him to keep God's commandments and statutes and judgments. And that's why the sages interpreted the Torah commandment not to marry the Canaanite greater than just that literal commandment. Our sages said, Jews must not marry non-Jews. Because if we do, we cannot keep the Torah, can we? That's one of the commandments, right? Is to raise children that will keep the Torah. That's why Avraham was chosen to begin with. And many of you are the children. This is a special message for the children, anyone that's going to be bar, bat mitzvah, and up, who are still single. It is very important that you marry a Jew. And a Jew simply means someone who keeps Torah. Okay, that's so super important. If you miss that, not only will you be breaking the Torah yourself, but you will be paving a path of Torahlessness for your own children in the future. And this is why in the Haftarah portion, we have this portion in the first place. We have this prophecy about how Israel will come back. They'll have to come back. They were lost. Why did Israel get lost? Primarily because they intermarried with non-Jews. Okay, what's the primary reason for the exile? It's because the children of Israel did not marry Jews. This is so important. And this is why I believe conversion is so important. In other Messianic congregations, they do not promote conversion, and they say a Jew must remain a Jew and a Gentile must remain a Gentile. What does that mean? According to Torah, that means that the Gentile among you never has to fully accept the Torah covenant, which means they can continue to eat pork and keep Christmas and defile Shabbat and, do all these things. How are you going to raise children that keep God's commandments and statutes and judgments if you marry someone who doesn't have to do all those things? I mean, if you get married, and, this is probably advanced for most of you children over here that haven't even hit 18 yet, but sometimes when people get married and then they divorce, let's say they were the same religion before, oftentimes the person that wasn't that original religion to begin with, they will leave that religion, go back to their old religion, or go to just become atheists, which means they won't believe in God anymore at all. That's very standard. That's very expected. And that's why when Ruth's husband and her husband's brother died, Ruth from the Bible, when the brothers, Ruth and this, I don't remember the other woman's name in the story of Ruth, but there was Ruth and there was this other lady, right? No, it wasn't Naomi. Naomi was the mother-in-law, right? There's Ruth and another lady, and they married Naomi's sons. They were brothers, right? And after the two brothers died, Orpah, okay, it's Orpah. After the two brothers died, Naomi said, you know what? You have no future here. They were not part of Israel. That's another super important part. They were not part of Israel. They moved out of the community of Israel. Also, very dangerous. So Naomi was like, look, there's no other Jews here for you to marry. Why don't you just go back to your family? Why don't you just go back to your family? Because I have nothing here. And so that's what Orpah did. She's like, okay, I'm just going to go back to my old pagan ways. But Ruth, so these were two Jews that married non-Jews. They did not convert yet, neither Orpah nor Ruth. So these brothers did something wrong by marrying non-Jews, right? They sinned by marrying non-Jews. Perhaps that was one of the causes of them dying early. They also sinned by leaving the community of Israel. Did you know that? The fact that they left the community of Israel, it showed their lack of faith in the Bible. Okay? That's what that meant. That when they left the nation of Israel, and they were someplace where there wasn't really any other Jews. But Ruth had so much faith that she even reignited her mother-in-law's faith. And she said, no. You have the one true God. I will follow you wherever you go. Your God will be my God. Your people are my people. I'm sorry, I don't quote things exactly as they're written. So she actually reignited Naomi's faith, and she went back to the community of Israel. So this is also a very key part. Now, I want my children to experience the world, not in a bad way, but like to travel, all these things. But I also want them to always be connected to the Jewish community. And that doesn't have to mean Messianic Judaism. That can mean going to, attending, if you go to college, being part of your Jewish, they have like Jewish college groups, right? Keeping Shabbat with them, even if they're Reform, or conservative. And that doesn't mean you should do everything that they do, but even conservative and Reform Jews, they do something at least to honor Passover or Hanukkah or something, right? And then there's a question one time, someone asked, Rabbi, what do I do if I go to a place where there's no sunset sometimes, so you can't really calculate Shabbat properly because the sun never sets? The rabbi said, you should not go there. Jews should not go there, okay? And I think we can learn a lot from that. If you go to a place where you cannot keep the commandments, maybe you shouldn't be there, okay? Maybe you shouldn't be there. Some very practical tips. I know that, we're working with a very small pool here, okay? which is why, and it's always been like that, right? Jews have always been a very small minority. Being Messianic cuts it down even more, you know. Being observant Messianic is even more, you know. But, you know, if you believe in Hashem, he can move mountains, he can split the Red Sea, he can find you a good Jewish man or woman, okay? He is the God of miracles. He's the creator of all things. He can create a good match for you, whoever you are.